do it, I guess.
Hello and welcome, Eurostep Podcast Network, Game 6, Bucks Suns. The Bucks with the opportunity to win in 6, not just a first round series or whatever, the NBA Finals. We're really here. I don't know if it's sunk in for me yet. Everybody else is anxious. I think I'm still just completely oblivious, but joined for this live show, we got the whole gang. Jordan Treske and Adam McGee of the Win in 6 podcast, Rohan, Katti, and myself, Ty Windisch of the Eurostep podcast, plus a great audience made up of the non 100,000 people in and around Fiserv Forum tonight, which is still wild to think about. About 1/5 of the Bucks' total attendance on Chris and Giannis' first season. All that said, and it is a ton. Fellas, how's it going? How are we feeling?
Who wants to take it? I mean, I'm absolutely terrified. This is not going to be my A game. I just hope it's the Bucks bring their A game. I'm terrified. It doesn't mean I'm not confident, but this thing is. So if any of you noticed, the Bucks are one win away from an NBA championship. It's really close, and it's uncomfortable. It's exciting, but it's also uncomfortable.
I feel like I'm wearing too tight of a shirt, and I've just been like just like all day. Yeah, I've not been able to focus whatsoever. I've been trying to distract myself I haven't been able to focus in part because I'm trying to distract myself for not. It's like we're an hour away, and I'm just like I've been waiting for this since Saturday night, of course, and then you're just like, oh, what's going on? Like what? It's a one win away, and it's never felt so real before.
Yeah, the cortisol is pumping through my veins right now, and I can feel it. Would not recommend. This is wild. It's great, but also like I'm dying. So that's how I feel.
I think this question would have made more sense before we all got so caught up. But I think the biggest topic around Bucks Twitter today was like, is it okay to believe in the Bucks? Is it okay to be confident? And now I think the anxiety is kicking in for everyone. But there is still a faction of people saying, no, not yet. Even if they would win, this game would not do it in 6. They'd have to take it to 7. You still can't trust the Bucks. I had someone tell me when I said, no, you can trust them now. They've earned it. You must be young. And I was like, well, yes, but live through a lot as is anyway. But what does everyone think? Is it okay to be confident and feel good about the Milwaukee Bucks, even acknowledging, okay, it's still a huge high pressure, high stress scenario we, much less the team, but we find ourselves in?
I'm confident. It just doesn't make it any less terrifying this close to it happening. You start to think about, all of the things that could go wrong, and you really don't want it to go wrong from here, and how hard it is to get to this point, and how, they're there now. So many great Bucks teams over the years could not get to the finals, let alone get to this point. They're there. They have the chance to do it. They have the chance to do it at home. And I think as it gets closer, that just has ramped up the anxiety levels like through the roof for me, because it's like, well, if not tonight, when? If not tonight, when? The answer might be, on Thursday night. But there is a real feeling of just they're so close. And I really believe in them. But hey, this is sports. This is the Milwaukee Bucks. Anything can and likely will happen.
Yeah, I think all of our feelings of like the moment and the weight of it all on our shoulders, and I can only imagine what the players and coaches are feeling and the organization, especially when there's like a town right outside the arena. I can only imagine what they're feeling, but like our feelings towards that isn't based on what this team is, because look, they're a win away from the finals. That's where we are.
Like, no, they're a win away from a championship, Jordan. They're in the finals.
Sorry, God. I'm clearly not my best thinking day. They're a win away from a championship. So yeah, it's not an indictment of what like that they can't get it done or anything like that. It's more of like, we're here. This is the moment. Can they, grasp it? And I think they can. It's just you want to see it get done. You don't want to see like the legwork that has to get done to get past Phoenix. And I mean, these games have all been close outside of game 1, really.
Yeah.
Like it's been. It's not like it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be easy by any means, but yeah, I just want to see it get done.
It needs to happen today. Everyone's expecting it to happen today. It's going back to the original question of, is it okay to feel confident? Of course, everyone can feel confident. It's fine. Like, this team has deserved that feeling. Like, you can feel confident about this team. They've proven more than any other Bucks team in the past. It's been like during this era, I should say. They're here. They're ready. I'm not completely confident. I'm more confident than I was on whatever pod it was. I think it was the mailbag that you and I did.
Yeah,
Ty.
yeah.
I feel more confident now than I did then. I'm still not 100%. I'm still weary. It's who I am. But it's okay to be confident in this team. They've earned that respect.
I love the chat right now is just like going through just this playoff run, the highs and mostly lows. And I saw Muhammad just goes, these both feel like a decade ago. People running through, the Giannis injury, the post-game podcast of the Nets series in the middle of the early middle of that series. It has been quite a journey. We have all been through a lot. The team, like we've talked about in every form of media now, we're everywhere. Twitter Spaces at halftime, but they keep finding ways. They keep winning ball games. But I want to circle to something Brett had said, and shout out to Brett, who has been a mainstay on the YouTube, much appreciated. Said there will still be a bunch of clowns that say "Fire Bud" at the parade, and I know that this is it has become an overwhelmingly pro Bud, I think, podcast panel. I guess we are right now. I got some blowback. No one will believe that I got some blowback on a take, but I got some blowback. Somebody tweeted out,
it?
Huh? What'd you say, Rohan?
Did I say it? Is that why you got blowback?
No.
Am I the one who said the take?
No. I tweeted this. This was all me. So I think it was the Journal Sentinel reported or noted that Bud has 1 year left on his deal. I said, tack 5 more onto that bad boy. I got a bunch of, whoa. It's way too early. What are you talking about? I feel like we've seen what we need to see with Bud. Now we've had these conversations. Certainly if they win, you're just at this point, it's just stupid to even talk about firing him if they win. And it's not, and I think I joked earlier, maybe it wasn't entirely joked, about that situation. Like, oh, can you still do it if they go to the finals if they win? I think the big change is not just that they would have won it, it's that we would have seen them win it in part because of competent coaching getting them there. And Bud has been good enough, and that's why they are what they are. And I just think it's silly to still be fixated on this. He's certainly not perfect, but now I'm more in line with what Adam has laid out several times going back a while, in that, what else is out there? And I feel like this point, what we've seen from Bud this whole playoff run, I'd much rather have him for the next few years than be in the wilderness hoping you get the Nick Nurse and not the Bjorkgren. Although even Nick Nurse didn't have the best, last year or so. So I'm riding with Bud at this point. I have no more reservations. He could prove me wrong. The Bucks are known to prove people wrong for being confident, but we're off that wave. I'm down with Bud.
The Bucks under Bud. So Bud, highest winning percentage regular season in the history of Milwaukee Bucks coaches. Highest winning percentage in the playoffs in the history of Milwaukee Bucks coaches. And if he gets one more win tonight, he's got the championship that Larry Cassell had. And what is there to argue about? You're arguing with yourself. You need to go outside, get a life, get some fresh air. No, seriously. I mean, I didn't have the energy for this. Yeah, you got some blowback, but you got some blowback via my quote tweet. So I was aware of some blowback you got, Ty. I believe it. And I was like, I'm not arguing with anyone the day before the Bucks potentially win a title about, firing Bud. It's insane. You look at what he's done in the playoffs. You look at the endless adjustments, just at how they've managed a pretty tough situation too. I mean, this year has been difficult for everyone, but with Dante going down, that's obviously left the Bucks in a really tough spot in the area of their roster they're weakest at. We know their depth isn't what it has been this year, although, key contributors are stepping up and kind of outperforming what they've ever got from any bench players. But his case, like, for greatest coach in Bucks history it's right there, Larry Cassell's got the 2 finals. Other than that, though,
Also won a championship in his 3rd season.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
I don't know what there is to argue about anymore with it. I know people will do it because people love to argue.
People are already doing it.
Yeah, and this is I'll always go back to it. Jason Kidd poisoned all Bucks fans' minds, particularly when it comes to coaching. It just skewed. Everything was always the coach's fault. And there are times where everything is the coach's fault. There are times where that's been true with Bud. There were certainly a lot of times where that was true with Jason Kidd. But it's not just always on the coach. And I think the Bucks are in a spot right now where you've got to look and say the coach is doing a great job, the players are doing a great job. What's the need for him to complain about it? Now, 5 years, Ty, tack on 5 years. That might have been a bit caught up in the moment. I don't know if we need to do 5 year. Like, what's wrong with 3 years? What's wrong with 3 years? What's wrong with 2 years? He's got 1 year. You can always give another contract if it's still going well then.
You've heard my Jersey takes. You can give him 10.
I have. I know you don't.
If we have a good 4 or 5 hours over these next 4 or 5 hours, tack 40. I don't care. Put him up for
Counterpoint.
Senate. Whatever.
What if Bud threatens to retire and host the program Jeopardy? I mean,
it would
we don't
be
know.
really bad. I can't
That make
imagine.
Aaron Rodgers the next Bucks coach?
I don't know. Kind of puts his feet to the fire.
Oh my
Can I-
goodness.
Yeah, owner turned coach. Sounds like he has nothing to do.
This is where we're at.
Yeah.
This is where we're at. We had a question in the chat earlier before it devolved into Bud stuff. Would you rather a Bucks blowout win or a comfortable win? Rohan?
Blowout, 100%.
Blowout.
Yeah.
I would
Make him feel it.
Yeah.
utter celebration from beginning to end.
Well, no one would do it. No one would lean into it, though, Jordan. I don't think. Well, here's a better question. What would the Bucks have
Bucks
to
are
be
up
up
20
by?
in the first half. Someone may need to take my phone away from me to stop me from leaning into it. Like, I mean, this could be the kind of thing that a few hours from now we're like, oh, it's all the sweeter because they were down by 25 in the first quarter and they came back and they won it on a game winner at the buzzer. But like, will we be alive to talk about that if that's how they do it?
I got the question wrong, by the way. This was Aditya, and it was a 30-point blowout win or a comeback win from a 10-point fourth quarter deficit. Still the blowout, though, for me.
Yeah. We're talking double digits comeback. I mean, it's still like you have to get to that point of like, it's not going to happen tonight, is it? And then, yeah.
I will say after game 5, it'd be hard for me to find a scenario catastrophic stuff that I would be like, oh, they're losing this game. Because even that game, even before seeing them turn around the 16-point first quarter deficit, in the moment, I was like, I think they could do this still. I feel like they could, the way they've been playing. If they just string together a couple quarters, couple stops, couple threes, the old Johnny Mac, and it took them like 8 minutes to do that. So I do think that, I guess that's the newfound Bucks confidence. Should we talk about the celebrity guest list? I feel like people love the. Does anyone have the list up? I don't have the list.
I can bring it up.
You're bringing up the subject, so I thought you'd have it. But
managing the stream, chat, everything else. I just figured someone could pull up the list.
Listen, you need to manage the stream. When you're not here to manage the stream, well,
I got it. Names you might. This is from Jeff Zilgit of USA Today Sports.
He's been all over this beat. I don't know what he's been crushing it on the celebrities in Milwaukee beat so far.
Yes, he has.
They
Chance the
release a
Rapper.
list.
Oh yeah, they do. I think that they work with the team in some capacity.
I think that's the press release beat. To be
He's the
honest.
one who's
Yeah.
he's the one who keeps. I see his
shams
tweets.
beat.
He's all over it.
Names you might recognize in attendance: Chance the Rapper, Kanye West, Dave Chappelle, Gucci Mane,
That's
Chris
a big
Tucker.
one. That's a big one.
Donald Driver,
That's a big
Antonio
one.
Freeman, former Packers wide receiver. I just have to include that because I don't think some people will recognize his name. Aaron Jones, former Bucks to attend, Marcus Johnson, who I think I have already seen the video of, Michael Redd, Brandon Jennings, of course, Desmond Mason, and Julius Irving. We have a doctor in the house to revive me after the Bucks win tonight.
The doctor, not to get ahead of ourselves, involved in a presentation if it comes to it. You know,
Maybe.
the traditional Bill Russell spot.
Is he the stand-in for? Yeah,
They usually, it's a kind of random. I know, it's game 6 of the finals. Maybe Dr. J just wants to, come to Milwaukee and imagine what could have been.
Yeah.
You watched the Bucks in a championship. It could have been you, Dr. J. It's a story for another
nearly
day.
50 years ago.
But yeah, that was my first thought when I saw that name. Is that could be part of the kind of. There's always the NBA legend. But there should be better Bucks people on this list. I'm very sorry. I talked about it on our post game. I laid out, the guest list. This is not great. I mean, Brandon Jennings is there. That is very important for everything. I'm not going to turn my back on the name of our own podcast, but that's important for everything. That will really get people going. I think it might have been Scott Grodsky said that judging by rehearsals, like Brandon Jennings is going to be a right before tip, kind of get the crowd into a frenzy. There's going to be some sort of Brandon Jennings.
Packers head coach Matt LaFleur is there, so that makes sense why Aaron Rodgers is not there.
I was just gonna say, where's Aaron?
Also, Travis Shaw and half of the Brewers, courtesy of Scott Grodsky too, half of the Brewers roster is coming to the game as well.
Have we heard on Bronny? Have we heard on
you said
Bronny?
Travis Scott.
Travis
up.
Shaw, Travis Scott.
Good question
Scott
from Michael in the chat. Where's Sheryl Crow?
Yeah, where's
Very good
Coolio?
question.
Bucks legend.
Where's OJ Mayo?
I do wonder if we're gonna see Ryan Braun, because I saw he and the Brewers owner Mark Attanasio in the owner's seats of the Brewer game today, which was moved up to right before the Bucks game. So solid chance. I think that would be cool. I do like seeing the Wisconsin sports legends type people. I think that is neat. But yeah, why no more? Like Kareem was busy, writing about Mycroft.
He's still on the Suns plane.
Where's Sid? Why can't we get Sid?
Yeah.
That's the one that I really kind of wanted. Just kind of, I think that's as much as the championship team, like all of those guys again would make a lot of sense. Moncrief is the guy that was kind of like that would be really cool.
Also,
it's the likes of him and Marcus. I like another comment from the chat. Our good friend Tim Ray. Surely Marlon Wayne's got a free ticket for his services to the franchise. Could the Bucks have landed the biggest free agent in their history without Marlon Wayne's? No, I think the record shows no.
Also, McLaughlin wasn't on the list, was he?
No.
That one I really don't get. I mean, some of the other people, I think, maybe there actually is something else going on. They live far away, but Johnny Mack, the Mr. Buck, the original Buck, I feel like he should be at a game where they could clinch a championship in Milwaukee for the first time since he was there for it. But still, I mean, Kanye is there. It's kind of neat, right? I guess.
Mm.
More excited about Gucci.
I didn't expect Kanye to be there.
Do we think Chance,
Do you think Kanye expected to be there?
No. I feel like Chance is just
bringing
him along.
He's a basketball fan.
He is.
Has he been to any? Well, when's the last time Kanye was at a game? I wonder.
I just remember
When's
that
the last
Scotty.
time someone saw Kanye.
Been a while.
Yeah.
This game is not taking place in Montana.
No.
Somebody asked, did you guys read Oscar Robertson's Players Tribune article? Did anyone read this?
No, I didn't see it.
Oh, that's gonna be some. Well, we don't really get a break. At some point reading in the long reading list. Larry Sanders is playing in Big 3 right now, apparently.
like right now.
Well, I don't think during the game. Oh, that's what it seemed like.
Maybe.
Let's
I
see.
don't know if the big three is going up
Brett
against
was
the
watching
finals.
the other day, and Larry Sanders is playing there. It's
Good for
never
him.
great when a pretty former NBA player is in the big three. It's never the great feeling.
Tell that to Joe Johnson, almost former Buck,
God.
maybe. I don't know.
Almost, yeah. Came close.
Twice.
Couple of workouts, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay, should we talk about the basketball game now? I feel like
It'd be a
we
good
did
idea.
Everything else, yeah. So I think it feels not funny. It feels to me like most of the chatter around the series since Game 5. Well, it's all been about the Suns because, of course, the conversation is never about the Bucks unless they've blown it somehow. So I can't wait to see what the talk shows are going to lead off with if the Bucks do win this thing tonight. Like something ridiculous, I'm sure, but all about Devin Booker not passing enough and the Suns' offense becoming too stagnant and not enough ball movement and everything else. And I want to throw to Jordan first on this. Hear from Jordan your thoughts on how Milwaukee has defended the Suns, and I think painted them into a bit of a corner here, but also just how Phoenix has played and what you expect to see both from the Bucks tonight in terms of do they keep going with the same strategy they've been sticking with, and how you expect the Suns to respond. So there's a 5-part question. I'm going to take off for a little bit. You got this, Jordan.
I think they have defended very well. It's almost like a continuation of what we've seen throughout. I mean, the Heat series was like paled in every comparison to everything else that we've seen so far. But like the Nets, Kevin Durant was out of this world. I mean, even James Harden on one leg was still kind of threatening in Game 7. We saw with the Hawks, Trae Young before getting hurt, even like Bogdanovich, there was still a little bit the kind of off the dribble kind of shot creators that the Bucks have kind of had history of like knowing how to defend them and kind of like insulate themselves where they can say Devin Booker got 40 points in back-to-back games or whatever it is, and they can still come out on top, even if it was like a razor thin margin. But still like the stuff that they're doing with Chris Paul and just, putting Drew on him from Game 2 onwards has undoubtedly affected his series. I mean, he's still playing relatively well, but it's not to the degree of like Chris Paul is not necessarily orchestrating the offense where like Aiden's getting really, Aiden's play has gone downhill. His effectiveness has gone downhill. Like Mikal Bridges, he's ever since his Game 2 performance has been relatively anonymous, I would say. I mean, he's hitting some shots. Cam Johnson hits shots, but it's not direct. He's not leading the offense by any means. It's kind of, piecemeal there. And then from there, it's just, the Suns' depth. I mean, it's been pretty exposed at this point. I mean, I know Sarge got hurt. Torrey Craig has been hit or miss for them, frankly.
Whoa. That's a secret weapon you're talking about, Jordan. So.
I understand. Yeah,
Careful.
exactly. They gave him away for peanuts, right? But I just think how the Bucks have gone about just kind of putting the onus on Devin Booker to kind of just shoot their way out of it and score their way out of it and still winning the math problem. I think it was Jared Dubin for 538 of some of the things that I've tried to read, and I'm missing a bunch of other things, but like he kind of like illustrated perfectly of how it's still the same way that the Bucks have operated under Bud and just kind of the beat the math problem kind of thing, but it's in a totally different way that we have been used to with their defense and just kind of making it more tougher and just, offering up different looks. And obviously we've seen in the last couple of years, all that, yada, yada business and why Bud will be here for more than just this year. But yeah, I think long answer short, I think at this point, the Suns are so reliant on Chris Paul and Devin Booker that it's hard to expect other than, them going off and playing up to their capabilities. It was always the problem of like, how can they contain the other guys and kind of funnel it where in the direction that it just focus or it's contained to Booker and Paul. And that's what we've seen so far this series, at least defensively. And then, offensively, I think it was Zach Lowe just talked about it with Tim Leckler, how, monumental that's been for them too.
You said that the Bucks have kind of painted the Suns into a corner. It was that Zach Lowe article that really flagged up. They've actually painted them out of their corners,
That's true.
which may be what's most important here. Given what we've seen, beat the Bucks over and over and over and over and over again, just more times than anyone could possibly remember. Throughout the Bud era and really throughout the Jason Kidd era as well. I think Bucks fans collectively have severe trauma of just open corner 3-pointers going in over and over and over again. But that's a big deal, and I think I brought this up. Was it on the post game? Yeah, I've been on a pod since then. It was on the post game. We talked a little bit about Booker, and I think I said something a little bit more gently than maybe some others have said it since, and what has become the dominant discourse. If you're the Suns, it's on Booker. It's on Booker. He's got to, I think, play a little bit differently, because what he's doing is playing into the Bucks' hands, is playing into their defense. And if the Suns don't get Chris Paul or DeAndre Ayton going in a major way tonight, they're not going to win, because it's not that they haven't been getting Jay Crowder going, or they haven't been getting Cam Johnson games. Like, they've had all of that. Just look at their shooting splits from the last game. What they need if they're to get over the top and to win on the road and give themselves a home game to win this thing still, they're going to need Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton to play bigger parts in that. And that may take Booker, stepping back just a little bit and letting some other guys go to work, and a more kind of egalitarian and kind of coherent offensive effort across the board, rather than just one guy's going to go and get it. Because I think going into the series, we feared the multiple threats they had and how those guys all kind of posed a challenge for the Bucks. As the series has gone on, it's really Booker's doing the damage, and it's been less and less of a worry with those other two guys. The Suns can't have that stay that way.
You want to know a fun comparison that I've thought of?
I can't believe it's not a stat. A fun Rohan thing that's not a stat.
It was so weird when he started that, and then it went to comparison instead of stat.
But we are interested.
So this is I'm not the first one to say this has the potential to be a reverse Raptors, right? That's established.
That's been floating around.
It might be in more ways than one, because the Bucks are currently doing what we were screaming at them to do against Kawhi Leonard in that series. And that is just let him beat you, stay home on everyone else, and let him go, and just trust your one-on-one defenders. Ty, you and I screamed about that during Binge the Bucks. That's what the Bucks are doing right now. I guess that means we're right in the past.
I don't think we've ever been wrong.
This is what they're doing. I don't think so either. Adam, don't check. Don't check. No evidence is needed. But they're rectifying their mistakes from that series, which has haunted everyone, in both attempting to win 4 games in a row after going down 0-2, and also employing the defense that they should have run out there against Kawhi Leonard and the Raptors in that series. So they're trying to, just go full reverse Raptors series.
It's a great point. I think on the Booker thing, I do think it's a little silly that it's being framed as a Booker problem, because I think Booker's dying for someone else to step up. And I think, even more obvious than that, they won his minutes in Game 5. He was like a +7. I don't know what more he can do than take what the Bucks are giving to him. And, I think that he needs Ayton to be a little more aggressive and assertive on these roles. We all agreed Ayton the quietest 20 and 10 you'll see in a finals game. And he needs CP to do something before the fourth quarter, which did not happen in Game 5. So, I don't know how much you can fault the guy. I think they need a more egalitarian offense. I don't think that's all on him. I feel like they were at a point when nothing else was happening. He checks out of the game, and the Suns go -16 in a couple minutes. He checks back in, and they almost get back in and win the thing. I just think it's fair to say he hasn't played a perfect game and that he's dominated the ball too much. But I just think it's silly, and not that anyone on here has done that, but to blame him for the Suns losing 3 in a row or to focus all the criticism on him. I don't get it. I don't get it. I think he's been so spectacularly good, great, like some of the greatest shot making you'll ever see. They've needed every single one and more. I mean, there's a few other places I think you could look at this Suns team. Rotations, Ayton kind of. There's a couple moments when he's looked like, oh, he's going to swing the series. He is the X factor. And then you kind of forget he's out there for a quarter. And I mean, again, he's like, what, in his third year? It makes sense. But I just think there's been so much blame on Booker. And he's the one guy who's been like, oh, my God, every game except for the one in game 2, or game 3, he's been so good.
I think blame is wrong, but I also don't think it matters how spectacular he looks because they're losing. Because he's not channeling that into the most effective version of himself to help his team to win. Now, that doesn't mean the blame all falls on him. That means his teammates have got to do more. It means his coach has got to do more to put everyone in the right spots. But I don't think we can really, like we've talked throughout the series, like Chris Paul and Ayton, those two guys are tied together for their performance. So if Devin Booker's got the ball all the time, you're taking those two guys out of it. And I just don't see how you can live with that. I don't think it's smart on anyone's part. And I think it would fall on Booker to recognize that at times and be like, you know what? Got to get the big guy involved. You know, I'm always a fan of getting the big guy involved. Maybe not tonight. When it comes to DeAndre Ayton, he could sit this one out. But it's something that I think there should be a little bit of more awareness about. And honestly, the way I've started to think about it is, it's like Booker is still figuring it out, and Booker is great. But if you look at what Giannis did for a lot of the last game, I think that's the difference, where Giannis was just setting screens relentlessly to get Chris and Drew going. Like, that's when you've reached the next level. It's when you're doing that. He still went out and 32 points, was it, Giannis finished with in game 5? That's the next level. It's like, what's the benefit of going for 40 points and you're not freeing up either of those guys to get going to basically get their own close to 30-point games and push you over the edge? That's the difference. And that was the thing that for me about Giannis in particular was so striking in game 5, and I think is kind of the contrast. It's like Booker is undeniably great. Is there still room for him to learn how at this stage and against a defense like the Bucks, he can be better by maybe not doing quite as much himself? I think, yeah, 100% there is.
And like, as much as the focus has been on like what hasn't gotten right for the Suns offensively, like Devin Booker's still playing lights out. He's shooting the lights out of mid-range, all that stuff. The real problem for them, at least last game, was on defense.
Yeah.
The Bucks were I mean, we talked about early on in the series is if the Bucks can play their own way and get stops, and even if it's as few as ended up being the last game, because I mean it was just a shootout essentially. If they can play their way of just kind of more freewheeling and more like end-to-end open, controlling the plays, all that stuff, that's going to suit them more than the Suns do, because they're more of a slower and kind of methodical team. And that's where it's like the Suns' size has been completely exposed. Saric was gonna help some, but now it's like Torrey Craig is their 4 or 5, and Ayton's not. I mean, Ayton's amount of a man, he's not like Giannis who can just go from one end to the other and just kind of blitz them in transition. What was the stat from Zach Lowe's piece today? Like
153 or something points per 100 possession transition possessions. Yeah,
seems good.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and
just crazy.
Well, and it's what plays into that when you mentioned Ayton is the Suns' lone big guy. The way they use him exclusively on offense is screen and roll, and then he's either rolling right to the rim or down by the dunker spot. So if there's a long miss or a turnover for sure, but even a long miss, he's going to be one of the last guys up the floor. And I remember we commented on this early in the series, like Brook Lopez is keeping pace with him as they run in semi-transition. Listen, if Brook Lopez can keep pace with you, Giannis and Drew are just gone. And if Giannis and Drew are gone ahead of Ayton, the Suns are out of guys who are going to slow down those guys meaningfully. Bridges sort of on most Bucks, not Giannis certainly. He's just not big enough. So, yeah, I mean, the more turnovers the Bucks can force, turnovers and long misses, the more they can get out and run, that's when the points come easily. And I do know that Lowe pointed out in his great article and pod with Tim Legler and Mike Brown, but most of the Buck stuff was with Legler, Buck Suns. Their half-court offense has gotten up to like average, which for the Bucks is great. It's awesome. Like average, that's the one thing they've struggled with the most. We've seen them grind down to a halt. I mean, you want to talk about that Raptors series? That was, oof. It's always been for them the offense more than the defense, even when the defense has been bad. But they're finding enough in the half court. So Rohan, what have you seen from the Bucks in the half court? What have they done well, and what can they build on to keep scoring there to get this win tonight?
Well, when they find something that works, especially late in the game where they absolutely need baskets, let's say it's a Drew Giannis action, a Chris Giannis action, just some sort of 2 or 3 man action that they find that works, they keep doing it until the Suns have a solution for it. They do not take possessions off. They don't waste possessions trying to be cute. If they find something that works, they keep doing it. They're taking the easy, low-hanging fruit. They're not out here trying to get cute in the NBA Finals in the games that you need to win. They're out here just trying to find exactly what works and hammer it home until the Suns have some sort of adjustment to make for that. And until then, they're just going to keep shoving that same play over and over down their throats. And it works. It works. We see late in games, it's just a Chris Giannis action every time. We saw earlier in the series, given in game 1, they didn't win the game, but we just saw them spamming Drew Giannis pick and rolls at the end there because the Suns didn't know what to do about that. They're staying one step ahead of the Suns. They're making the Suns play on the back foot. They're making the Suns play reactive, having them adjust to what the Bucks are doing on offense, rather than Phoenix setting the tone for Milwaukee to play offense against on defense. And this is against one of the better defenses in the league. The Suns were one of the best defensive teams during the regular season and in this postseason. They were the second best team in this postseason behind the Bucks in terms of defensive rating. So you're playing your advantages by actually dominating the, what's the word I'm looking for? Just the possession game. You're setting yourself up for success if you're playing on the front foot rather than the back foot. That's really what's gotten Milwaukee going in the half court.
And I think especially in game 5, what you saw when Chris and Drew were both just on is, we were on to the Chris Giannis pick and roll. Now it's, of course, or Drew Giannis pick and roll for a while now. But like, if you have a pull up shot maker and Giannis in an action, it's unguardable. There's no good way around it. You open up something every single time, no matter what. The question for the Bucks is just, is the handler equipped enough to hit the shots? Because there's always going to be a shot for you. You just can't afford to take it away, because if you are, you're leaving way too much space for Giannis, and that's death. If Giannis, he doesn't even need to be directly to the rim. If he catches the ball in single coverage around the rim, that's you lost. You lost the possession at that point if you're Phoenix. So I think a lot of credit to Chris and Drew when they have been hitting shots. It shows you the potential there, and also to Giannis, who has not been playing like a traditional big man for very long, even in his relatively short basketball career. He's still not all the way there. We still have some issues with some rolls and things he could do better. The post game, the bag isn't that deep in the post. It's clearly been deep enough, but he's improved rapidly and gotten good enough to make that be what it is, which, Rohan, you're right. I think that's the Bucks late game offense. It's let's screen with Giannis a bunch and either get a wide open shot or get him in position to go put the ball in the hoop. And thankfully, he's pretty damn good at it.
There's something really reductive I'm going to say now as well. Giannis and Chris are better.
Yeah.
Like if we're going to talk about what happened against the Raptors, Giannis and Chris are so much better. I think Chris in particular, in the way that you can then pick apart things in the half court, the difference in his game from now to then is colossal. Giannis has improved. He's so much smarter. His game has rounded out. Like, I don't know if it's getting enough attention, just how that kind of, step back, fade away, the Dirk-esque shot that we've seen for many years him kind of working on. In this series, it's pretty automatic, Giannis in the mid-range looks good.
Last game was really nice.
Really, really nice. So I think that's a really, really simple part of it that works. The other thing is, this is something that we really talked a whole lot about coming into the Hawks series, but haven't done as much of with the Suns. But it was something on that low post episode that came up a lot again. Tim Legler in particular was going to it. Suns just don't have the size, you know. So the Bucks are able to look over everything, you know, everything. They're able to look over the Suns' defense with everyone other than Jay Crowder, and usually Giannis is on him, so he has no problem with that. So you've just got a lot more freedom. You've got a much clearer side of the court, and you've got a chance to make better passes than I think they had back in that Raptor series. Just the players you're coming up against aren't the same. Like Chris Paul at, is he 36 now?
36.
Like 36-year-old Chris Paul is not what Kyle Lowry was a couple of years ago for similarly sized, kind of, you know, similar defensive players in their prime, but this is not Chris Paul's athletic prime.
He has been.
And we've certainly seen that.
Yeah.
Like they're having to really hide him. I honestly, coming into the series, I thought he was gonna hold up much better defensively just because of his instincts. His hands have always been great. Other than that play where Chris kind of left it out there for him in game 1,
Yep.
I don't know if we've seen much of anything from Chris Paul.
We've
the Bucks
seen
haven't,
stuff. It's just it hasn't helped
Yeah.
Phoenix.
not a lot of good stuff. But I think they're the two things for me. It's like the Bucks are better. They're also just like, this is the ultimate test of it, but they've been more comfortable in this moment than I ever would have anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just haven't got spooked so far, and that is unbelievably impressive. It's the sign of a really good team. I would guess we're going to see some moments tonight where they look spooked.
Might be a tinkle break.
There might be. The Suns are facing, though, just as much pressure, really. It's not like the Suns can't play, oh, you know, it's a free shot. It's not a free shot. If you lose, this is over. And who knows if and when you get back there. That's the thing hanging over both of these teams. The Bucks are just this team that have a little bit of margin for error now.
We had a fun question in the chat earlier. I wanted to get to it during the Booker convo, a little late, but from Got a Plan Stan, who is a Discord OG. If you're not in the Discord, screenshot your 5-star Apple review. Send that to any of us, all our Twitter handles on the screen here. Got to be 5 stars. Or you can email it to eurosteppod@gmail.com if you're not on Twitter. For whatever, if you're not on Twitter, get on Twitter. But if you're not, that's fine. But you can get in the Discord if you send.
I don't know if I'd give anyone that advice. Really, yeah. If you're not on Twitter, good for you. Stick with that. Your life is much better than ours.
Like Twitter followers. But Stan asks.
Some of us don't.
Yeah, I know. Some of who has been better against the Bucks this postseason, Kevin Durant or Devin Booker? And I think it's KD. I still think it's KD, but I do think it's a credit to Book that it's not a silly question. Like Book has been close as a player on that tier can be, but KD is it's a higher tier, and he played really well basically the whole series, and that's why the tiers are what they are, right? Like there's a gap.
And Devin Booker's
it's a different plane of existence,
yeah,
in terms of basketball player between the two. Given what you said, Ty, is absolutely right. Devin Booker has made this. It's a conversation. It's not out of question to say like, oh my God, how are you comparing Kevin Durant's performances to Devin Booker's performances? No, Devin Booker's been incredible. He's been absolutely incredible. KD's just yes, yeah. That's my explanation.
Plus, defensively too, they're not.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, when we talked about
honestly,
Book
I don't think it's close yet.
No.
I don't think it's close.
Book has had more help still than KD had in that series. It's probably close. I mean, I forget Kyrie played a solid amount of games. Well, Adam, you disagree?
Jeff
No,
Green.
it's not close.
I think it's close.
Like Griffin.
It doesn't matter. It's KD, but it is a good question. Titonia World, dying to know who's been the Bucks' second best player in the series.
I've already answered. I've answered. It's Chris. Of course,
Yes.
it's Chris. He knows it's Chris. Did Chris shut down Chris Paul is the next question. He actually has occasionally. That's something that's been a pretty big development later in the series because it's allowed Drew to go on to Devin Booker too. So you've had the mix of that. I mean, between the two of them, they've done a really good job. It's undeniably Chris.
I would actually prefer, and you're not going to do it the whole game because of the load on the other end and everything else, but if you're in a fourth quarter and you haven't moved Drew to Booker yet, I would rather see Chris on Booker than PJ. And he probably is going to get switched off for Pat anyway because that's what the Suns are obsessed with doing. But I think Chris, like, when he's tuned in on that end. And late in games, I think he pretty much has been, at least since the Bucks started winning games. He's been quite good. Like, and we saw this at times against the Nets. We saw this at times against the Hawks. Like, he's not that guy every possession of every game anymore. But I think we've seen that gear still get shifted into every so often. And it's like, it's a big difference. Like, that's part of the Bucks defense locking in and being a unit that can get you one win away from the first championship in 50 years, is that guy going from coast a little bit, I'm taking a lot of shots now, whatever, to no, I'm going to lock up whoever's got the ball in front of me. I mean, he didn't lock up KD, but he had some good possessions on KD, and I think he's done well on Booker in some stints, and Chris Paul as well.
Agreed.
Apparently, there are $22 bills with Chris Middleton's face on them that people are going to count as an homage to the money guy that literally no one liked ever.
I'd like to never think about the money guy again, personally.
I'm trying to...
Muhammad says I look super nervous. Yes, that is accurate. That's very accurate.
This is great. It's been successfully
I'm glad
distracting
it
me.
really translates.
Yes. And I keep looking at the time. I was like, oh my God, my heart's
Nearly there, yeah. Let's just keep going, and then it will be there. And what will be, will be.
We have another... Oh, actually, no. I had a question we wanted to get to earlier. We got so caught up in everything else. The over-under for Teague minutes. I think just generally talking about Teague, Rohan and I covered this pretty in-depth on the mailbag pod, where if you haven't listened, honestly, I usually say go back. It's probably too late now. Just wait for the championship, or the post-game content.
I'm nervous now. I take it back. The distractions ward off.
That may or may not have been a joke. But we went deep on Teague on that pod, and just if he plays, does he not play? Do they go just a straight 7-man rotation? And really, it's not that. I don't think it's the difference between 7 and 8 is the reason he would play. It's strictly positional, right? Like they don't have guards. The two guys coming off the bench are not guards besides Teague. So do we think Teague plays? And if so, I mean, I assume we all would agree it's like 5 minutes or so. But I got to go to Adam first, the correct predictor of the Teague game. What are your thoughts on Teague tonight?
Don't think he plays.
I don't think so either.
Don't think he plays. Unless Drew gets a couple early fouls, I don't think Jeff Teague is going to play. And if Drew gets a couple early fouls, Jeff Teague will play. And if he plays terribly, I think he'll get a quick hook. I mean, it's all we have to go off of on this. You did note, Ty, on that mailbag pod that, you know, it's impossible to predict what Bud will do with this, and just with everything that's always trying to just guess what Bud will do next. Even now, when it's often something good, still trying to guess it is impossible. But I do really feel like that Nets game 7 was instructive in how they approach this kind of scenario. They have the luxury this time of Bobby is playable right now, so they'll go with Bobby, and that gives you an extra man than they had in that situation. So I think they'll feel pretty comfortable with that. It may not even just be a case of if it's Drew Holiday in foul trouble, though, because, you know, they don't have other playable players at other positions. You know, anything like that pops up, and he might find himself in the game. But if the Bucks are kind of in some sort of control and they're not getting called for fouls, or Giannis isn't taking like multiple unexpected tinkle breaks, I don't know if there'll be an opening for Jeff Teague. If he decides to play him, it's not like a complete shock. It could be disastrous. It might not be. We all know how that works at this point. We know why he would get into the game. But I do have a feeling that he won't get into the game tonight.
To your point, also, Jeff Teague did not play Game 6 against the Nets, which obviously the Bucks are down 3-2. So, and granted, that was when Rip Forbes had somewhat of a leash in the rotation. Now it's completely gone.
He's in the doghouse now.
Yeah, but just throwing that out there.
And I guess this ties into another question, like how many minutes are we expecting for the big three, but really all the Bucks? Like, I think Drew and Chris, very high numbers.
Chris could go 48.
Wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, full
I think
48.
those two are going to go as close to 48 as possible.
I think they both get breaks. Just, it probably, I'm sure, as with everything, it depends. But, you know, if Bobby continues to be playable, I think you probably get them a minute or two at the start or end of a quarter just to do it. Not at the same time, dear God, but steal 1 minute without Drew, run everything through Chris, vice versa. But I think like 46 is about my guess, and it might even be higher than that. Giannis, it's tough to say. I still think, it's probably not controversial. He's not 100% still from the knee. We're still seeing some stuff. I still think he's going to play a lot of minutes. I feel like he's found ways to. I think in 45, 44.
I think 44 is about right. You never quite know because there is always the possibility he's going to pull himself out of the game after 2 minutes. And then it's, okay, he's out for a little while until he goes and takes care of business and gets back. And then how long until stoppage of play gets that's a real thing where you could easily lose 4 minutes right in the first quarter. And then it's like, okay, yeah, maybe it's tricky. He's going to be over 40. He's been over 40 pretty consistently recently. I mean, the wild card here is, like we say, yeah, Chris could play 48, but if he plays 48, it's a really, really close game. Is it going to be a really, really close game? Who could say?
Thanks for evening out the other thing I said earlier, Adam. I appreciate that.
I didn't say what way it would or would not be a really close game.
Of course you didn't. Of course
I didn't.
For context, Giannis 41 in Game 5, Chris 44, Drew 42 with the early fouls that cost him a couple minutes. So if you tack on about 2 minutes, it would be 43 for Giannis and 46 for the other two guys, which feels probably pretty close. I mean, Game 7, Brooklyn is not a great comp because there was OT in that game for looking at just a normal 48 minutes, but Giannis hit 50 in that, didn't he? 51? I can pull it up. He played a ton.
Yeah, I think all the
big
big three did.
Yeah.
It was like a year ago. I have no idea.
Yeah, I know KD played
just cracked over
53.
50.
Yeah, so a lot is the answer.
Time.
That was a wild time. We got a sad question from Brett. Is Thanasis? No, it wasn't from Brett. It was from Muhammad. Brett answered. Is Thanasis in the building? Man, I would feel for him if he can't be around. He is still out in the protocols, unfortunately. So still going to be jumping around. Well, probably not in a hotel room now that they're back in Milwaukee. Jumping around on his bed in his room somewhere, presumably.
It sucks.
Josh Oppenheimer is back, though.
Oh, that's good.
He is.
Giannis 5 for 8 game from 3
Thanasis.
incoming. Yeah, it does.
Jordan, I don't know if you're dialed in on the comments from our friend Andrew Snyder. He had a comment about he misses Jordan's hat. It's time to bring some good luck to proceedings.
There we go. Let's get a little spin going.
This is great to see it in action.
Yeah, you can see it right by my vent. Perfect placement.
Got to get that vent pumping so it just spins the fan.
Yeah. I have like a pipe, right, moving hands there.
It's like
to update this. You have been wearing it since being in the building, right? Game time, the hat goes on.
Yes, I have.
I love it.
I taken this bit way too far.
No such thing.
No, it's not too far. It's not far enough in my opinion.
Kanye wants to meet Jordan at the parade,
Oh God.
We do have some news about that, by the way.
Oh, do we?
Yes. This is according to Mark J. Spears of The Undefeated at ESPN. He said, regardless to what happens tonight, USA Basketball will have a private plane departing from USA to the Olympics in Japan for Devin Booker, Drew Holiday, and Chris Middleton departing on Friday, according to sources. So it's not dependent on what happens in the game. It's Friday, it's set. So let's say they do the thing, they might have time.
What if they were to win in 7 then? When would they do it?
Not doing it either with those guys or when they come back. It's kind of ridiculous, to get to this point, either have, one of those 2-day breaks, make another one of them a 1 and give yourself, like the NBA have put all this planning in and they haven't considered, well, what if guys on the winning team are going to the Olympics?
Both teams.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah,
it would make me at this point, along with everything that's happening in Tokyo right now and with the Olympics. I mean, the other part of this is, will the Olympics still be going on by the time, a parade could happen? that very much seems up in the air. There were kind of reports today that they're not ruling out that the Olympics could be cancelled before they start yet. So
yeah, that seems like a very important detail.
Yeah.
At this juncture, especially when the games start Sunday.
Like, we're talking about the Olympics, right? There's 5 minutes until, well, not 5 minutes.
Oh
We all
my
know how this
God.
works.
But yeah,
There's
it's
like 20 minutes, right? They're gonna drag it out until the game when the Bucks could potentially win an NBA championship. We just need to bring it back home.
I feel good still. I'm back there.
I feel awful.
From way back in the room.
Feel terrible.
Also, Drew's brothers, Aaron and Justin Holiday, are in the house.
Oh, that's cool. No, that's cool.
Sign him.
Yeah. Hashtag
Justin was
future
there
Bucks.
Why
for
not?
Game 4, right? I saw
Not
saw
sure.
pictures of Justin in a Drew jersey in Pfizer form. I'm pretty sure it was for Game
I
4.
can't believe we didn't cover the Vic news at some point. Victor
Kendall
Oladipo.
Jenner is at Game 6.
Oh. I wonder if she brought a Pepsi.
Yeah, to heal the world.
Give it to Chris.
That's-
If she gives Chris Paul a Pepsi, the Bucks are really in trouble, folks.
I honestly
yeah,
never
that's right.
expected Jordan to like suddenly interject into a podcast episode or anything with, Kendall Jenner is at Game 6.
I
I
don't
mean,
think-
why wouldn't she be?
I don't think anyone ever expected anyone important to
today's
show be at a
Game
Bucks
6.
Yes, Rohan.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying she was at Game 5. I was like, yeah, of course.
Victor Oladipo signing with Chris Middleton's agency. That's still a thing. But yeah, we should probably stop distracting ourselves.
We can talk about that later, Ty.
Yeah, we'll have. Well, I was gonna say we'll have time. The draft is in like 5 seconds too. So at some point we'll do draft content probably, but a little bit distracted right now. Rohan and I answered before we go. Adam and Jordan, how are you guys feeling?
Great.
I am actually feeling confident, but I also feel physically ill.
Yeah.
Like, I'm incredibly nauseous right now. But I do think they're the better team in this series. And they've got it to breaking point, and now it's just about, let's push on through. Like, this is... Rohan, I don't know if you could slide any lower in your chair. You're just in screen.
We got the GIF guys on the left of the screen here. Jordan with the broom and the hat. Rohan with the turning into jelly.
If Rohan wants to give me more gifts to use, I'm fine with that. But I do.
And we're back.
I think they're gonna do it. I think they're gonna do it. It's gonna be completely terrifying, but I think we're gonna be celebrating. In
What's
a
the
couple
score
hours.
prediction?
Adam, just got to keep cranking it up.
302-14. It's been working. I mean, I don't think
You can't go away from it now.
it's literally their 3 in a row have come from when I've just completely started, showing nothing but disdain for Rohan's score prediction game. So let's keep going with it.
Well, I saw.
Jordan, how you feeling though?
I'm great. I just feel like I don't know. I feel like I ate a bunch of chicken wings and went out of Tilt-A-Whirl and feel like I'm going to throw up.
Jordan describing his discomfort should be a novel, a best-selling novel, because it's incredible.
It should be like a Twitter account that, if we could get a bot to tweet like things Jordan would say in that scenario, that'd be great.
So I feel like.
But yeah, Jordan, what's your score prediction? Jordan?
Let's go Bucks 183, Kendall Jenner 0.
I got to put the Bucks up at least 120 because of the stat Aditya put in the comments a while ago. Let's go 127 to 108. I did a somewhat real one.
I honestly
I'm
can't
gonna
believe
go-
that we're here. Sorry, Rohan. I cannot believe it. It's wild.
It's an insane moment to be a part of, regardless of how much I feel like I'm dying. It's incredible. It's an incredible moment. My score prediction is 125 to 117.
Oh, okay. I would prefer Adam
That's
or
what I'm gonna go
Jordan's, but ours would work too. I'm assuming all Bucks, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yes. Have to.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to Seb, who says it's 2 a.m. in England right now. Thanks for rocking.
DP Hill, 11 a.m. in
Australian?
Sydney. Yeah, we
Yeah.
got all over there. I love we're very global. Shout out to everyone listening from Milwaukee to across the world.
Adam,
Got
what
the
time is it
footprint
over there?
sender.
It's 2 a.m. Same as England.
Oh yeah, duh.
It's okay. It's all right. I don't expect you to know these things, but it is. It's 2 a.m. As I said earlier in our private group chat, Rohan goes on podcasts. He talks about everyone else's circadian rhythm. He doesn't talk about mine.
The
Rohan,
years is too far gone. You've been doing this
It's
for
true.
too long.
It's true. I'm gone forever. Although maybe
This is
I'll
your
get
circadian
life.
rhythm.
Yeah, maybe I'll get life again tonight. I think we should probably wrap
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, it's basically game time. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. This might be the last pregame show, so thank you for everyone who's been rocking with us here throughout this playoff run, throughout this finals run. Hopefully, it's the last one. We're all predicting it is. Make sure you stay tuned because we are going to be live on Twitter Spaces at halftime. Make sure you follow all of us. Our Twitter handles are on the screen. I'm not going to try and point, but. Yeah, and we'll hit you with a post-game pod as well. Thank you all for listening and watching and supporting us throughout this run. Make sure you leave a 5-star review on Apple or so you can get that read on the pod. And stay tuned for more content. Enjoy the game, everyone. Try to stay sane. Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.